All right, everyone. Thanks a lot for coming to this presentation. Thanks, Brian. I will be making forward-looking statements as well as speculating on what the future might hold for us. As Brian mentioned, we're a project generation company. So for those of you who don't know what that is, we generate large-scale, early-stage exploration projects and try to bring in third parties to fund that exploration. Exploration is a very high-risk and capital-intensive business, and so this is a business model that allows us to undertake a huge amount of exploration without suffering from dilution. A couple of the major points here, the highlights of the company. We do have an exceptional exploration team with a proven track record. I'll show you an example of a grassroots gold discovery that we made in northern Quebec, which is driving a lot of value in the company to date. And we're out there trying to repeat that success. We're very well capitalized. We have $25 million in the treasury to date. Super strong and patient shareholder base, which I'll talk about as well. And one asset that's really driving a lot of value in the company, it's a 4% net smelter return royalty on a potential multi-million ounce gold deposit with a large mining counterparty in northern Quebec. And we have a huge amount of exploration happening all over Canada and Alaska. I'll touch on that. And our focus is really greenfields exploration and making new mineral discoveries. The takeaway on this slide, share structure, since we founded this company in 2016, to date we only have 76 million shares out. So again, really leveraging that third-party spend on the portfolio. Another point on this slide would be in the bottom left there. We have $36 million worth of exploration happening across the portfolio. 30 of that's coming from third parties and around 6.7 from our own treasury. We are generating revenue. We have about $4.1 million in cash inflow coming into the company. That's through management fees, cash payments, and option agreements, and refundable tax credits, and that more than covers our overhead. In terms of our shareholder base, we have two major strategic shareholders, Sumitomo Metal Mining, which is a large Japanese mining company, and Centerra Gold. Management and insiders own 24%, so lots of skin in the game, and a couple other really well-known high net worth financiers like John Tognetti being our largest major individual shareholder, Paul Stevens out of San Francisco, and Rick Rule, who you all probably heard talk at the beginning of this session. Project generation. So as I referred to this earlier, we really try to leverage our exploration portfolio, attract third parties to spend high-risk capital. Over the history of the company since 2016, we've operated about $125 million worth of exploration. 97 of that has come from third parties. 97 million of that's come from third parties. 28 million from our own treasury. So. We've worked with some of the biggest mining companies in the world. You can see here at the bottom, Sumitomo Metal Mining, Centerra, Antofagasta, Newmont, Barrick, and Freeport. Where our project's located, we're really focused in Eastern Canada in gold exploration. So Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba. We do have exposure to some other unique assets like rare earths in British Columbia and copper up in Alaska. We have over 1.8 million hectares of direct and indirect exposure in mineral tenure, which is an absolutely enormous number in terms of scale. And currently we have partnerships with Newmont, Sumitomo, and Centerra who are funding exploration on a few of our projects. Back to the discovery that we made, this was going back to 2018 and an example of our systematic exploration strategy. This is the Frotep project in northern Quebec, so it's north of the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. It's in the Frotep-Evans Greenstone Belt. We staked this in 2018 and optioned it to Sumitomo Metal Mining. 2019, we completed large-scale systematic sampling across the belt, found a large gold anomaly in the southern portion of the belt. In 2020, we put the first holes in and drilled 11 meters at 18 grams into a high-grade narrow vein system. To date, there's about 226 drill holes, over 100,000 meters of drilling. We since converted our minority interest in that joint venture to the 4% net smelter return royalty. So Sumitomo is funding the project 100%, and we are still currently the operator. And this is our area of where the royalty covers, and you can see the projected mineralization outlined down there in the bottom. Currently, the project's at advanced exploration stage, and there's potentially a maiden resource by the end of this year, early next year. And we're also undertaking permitting for a decline, so that can show you kind of where Sumitomo's head's at in terms of project development. This is a cross-section through the deposit. We've done a lot of geologic modeling. Like I said, this is leading towards a maiden resource. As you can see, there's multiple high-grade vein sets, kilometers of strike, and they're down all the way. We're intersecting high-grade gold down to over 1,000 meters vertical depth. You can see the CN tower there for scale. So this really does have that multi-million ounce potential. It's very high-grade, and it's still open at depth and along strike, so a lot of potential to grow. And that leads me to this. This is a graph of millions of ounces on the x-axis, and then grade on the y-axis, grade on the x-axis. These are all deposits in Ontario and Quebec, and the yellow ones are currently operating mines. So when you're in that north of 5 gram per ton range and over 1 or 2 million ounces, it's really a unique place to be in terms of quality of deposit, and this is where we see Renault ending up. And again, I think this can indicate economic potential. Outside of the Frotep project, this is the pipeline for 2025. We're operating 7 drill programs this year. 6 of those are at discovery stage. The other one would be Frotep itself. There's about 50,000 meters going into the portfolio. There's also a lot of follow-up exploration on big regional targets we've recently generated in Ontario and Manitoba, and a huge amount of new ground that we recently staked in northern Quebec as well that we'll be screening with large geochemical surveys for the first time. One of those I'd like to talk about is the South Uchi project in Ontario. So everyone's familiar with Great Bear. It's about 80 kilometers to the west of us. That was acquired by Kinross for about $1.8 billion. That was a new discovery in the Confederation Lake volcanic assemblage. So Kenorland a few years ago staked a big land package out to the east there. We had Barrick in funding exploration for a while. They dropped the option, we picked it up, continued exploration, generated a really exciting target that we were able to option to another private company right now called Oronova Resources. We hold 19.9% equity in Oronova. We have a 30% carried interest to PEA in the project, and we pulled a 2% NSR out of it as well. So after multiple years of systematic exploration, just like I showed you up in the Frotep Evans Belt that led to that discovery, we're now looking at a large-scale Golden Till geochemical anomaly. Also, there's a large gold grain anomaly there, and this last year we had a team of prospectors out there and discovered widespread gold mineralization in bedrock. This is an area with no previous exploration, no historical drilling, and not even any prospecting identifying a gold system in the historical exploration record. So really exciting to be in such an amazing, prolific part of the world, great geology, staring at a big footprint anomaly like this that indicates that there's an undiscovered gold system. And so Oronova is funding a 15,000 meter maiden diamond drill program in the first quarter of this year that we'll be operating, so definitely keep an eye on that. And the last thing I'd like to say is this is a chart of our 3-year chart of our share price. So you can see it was pretty flat for a while. We announced the conversion to the royalty at the Frotep project early last year, and since then the stock has returned 100%. We also brought in Centerra Gold as another strategic shareholder for 9.9%, so that kind of supercharged our treasury to do more grassroots exploration. And I think there's a long ways to go here as milestones are hit on the Frotep project, including the maiden resource, permitting for the decline, and ultimately, if Sumitomo makes that decision to go ahead with the decline, I think that's a good indication of where that project's heading. There's also all this other exploration that's happening on the portfolio that could completely change the picture. So thanks a lot for listening, and enjoy the rest of the day.